Hey everyone, thank you for joining our webinar today. My name is Leah Baker. I'm one of the senior account executives with Jonas Fitness. The star of our show today is Geiger Lee, who is the compliance officer for Coalition Security Group, a subsidiary company of Jonas Fitness under our parent company, Jonas Software. So Geiger has been leading the compliance efforts with Jonas Fitness since 2017, including our annual PCI assessment. He works very closely with our clients, sales and development teams, external compliance assessors, as well as vendors. Previously, he was the PCI program manager for Fiserv Corporation, and he holds a PCI professional certification from the PCI Council. So a fun fact about Geiger, he and his wife Lisa raise Scottish Terriers and very rare Sealyham Terriers that compete in various dog shows and performance competitions, including the Westminster Kennel Club and the AKC National Championship in Orlando that are shown on television every year. So that's pretty neat. Please, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A section, and we will save time at the end for those questions. With that, I will turn it over to Geiger for his presentation.
Thanks, Leah and Marianne, I appreciate. This is what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about what is P2PE, what are some benefits to you as our client, and what are some benefits to you for your members or your customers. We're going to look at what PCI point-to-point encryption P2PE is and how it's different from some others. We're also going to look back and see, why did Jonas Fitness develop this solution? And we're going to explain how we actually rolled this out in 2 phases. The PCI Council was originally founded by American Express, Discover, JCB of Japan, MasterCard, and Visa. The term point-to-point encryption, or P2PE, is generally credited to the PCI Council and describes how credit card data is encrypted at the source, the card reader, with a secret key, and it remains encrypted during the transmission only to be decrypted by the intended recipient, which has the key to decrypt it, that recipient being the credit card processor in most cases. A PCI validated point-to-point encryption solution must include validated hardware, software, and solution provider environments and processes. However, there has been some confusion about use of the term P2PE as some entities have developed encryption solutions for credit cards that may or may not meet the proper level of protection that PCI requires. Before we discuss some details of a PCI validated P2PE solution, let's touch on the benefits to you as the merchant and to your cardholder customers or members. For those in the medical arena, protecting personal health information, or PHI, that is covered by HIPAA is something with which you are familiar. You have to protect PHI data with many controls in technology, processes, and procedures. A breach can be headline grabbing and very expensive in money and reputation. With credit card data, your security and compliance teams will want or even require that any credit card solution adhere to the PCI P2PE standard. Why? Because by implementing a PCI validated P2PE solution to protect credit card data, you are getting credit card data out of your network entirely. This makes your organization far less attractive to bad guys if there's no credit card data for them to find. Additionally, a PCI validated P2PE solution reduces the number of annual audit requirements from over 300 to less than 35. Thus, your annual PCI effort and cost will be far less, and your compliance efforts can be focused on other areas. You can also reduce the resources spent on training costs for protecting credit card data. For those cardholders that have been victims of or heard the news accounts of credit card theft, They will appreciate knowing that you are using the highest level of protection that PCI recognizes. In healthcare, you are the trusted keepers of so much personal information. Protecting their financial data with such a solution adds to their confidence in your commitment to security. In short, a PCI validated P2PE solution can help keep you out of the headlines and offers a greater level of liability protection from a data breach. At this point, let's move on to what a PCI validated P2PE solution involves. As shown, you can have a locked metal gate. But if that is all you have installed to protect yourself, you are not fully protected. Just upgrading to a new card reader that is listed on the PCI Council website as P2PE validated is also not enough. A PCI validated point-to-point encryption solution must include validated hardware, software, and solution provider environments and processes that have been reviewed by a qualified PCI P2PE assessor. The whole ecosystem must have all components be PCI validated to be compliant. Again, just purchasing a PCI P2PE compatible card reader is not enough to meet this standard. As Jonas started to explore offering P2PE over 6 years ago, we learned that there are some providers that offer something similar to the PCI P2PE standard that are generally called unlisted P2PE solutions. We spoke to many major players in this arena and were presented with some confusing options that fell under this unlisted category. We also learned that without the PCI Council stamp of approval, we could not be sure if the proper protections were in place. We also learned that each one would still require additional security controls that we know our clients were hoping to avoid. Additionally, if we chose an unlisted solution to offer to our client's PCI assessor would still need to do an assessment of that unlisted solution since PCI had not done so. This would not meet our primary goal of reducing the cost and time of an annual PCI assessment for our clients. Since our goal was to provide a solution that would allow our clients to go with that short 35-question assessment, we had to find an actual PCI validated P2PE solution. So what prompted us to head down this path 6 years ago? A potential client in the university space was interested in using our Compete club management software solution and contacted me directly and said that their security team required that all credit card transactions on campus utilize PCI P2PE. We looked into this and found that the PCI P2PE standard addressed the needs of small merchants that only had real-time, card-present purchase transactions. Think of a convenience store, a pizza shop, or an on-campus student bookstore. They don't want to deal with lengthy annual PCI assessments, so PCI made it easy for them with P2PE. Go with a PCI P2PE solution and you remove credit card data from your university or medical provider network. The discovery process we undertook was filled with confusing terms, promising options, and many brick walls. We had the sales team from multiple providers telling us that they could provide us with a P2PE solution. Some called it E2EE or end-to-end encryption. Some in our own industry claimed and trademarked something called true P2PE as PCI validated. We took considerable time reviewing all of the possible solution providers we could find with the goal that we had to make sure it met the reduced scope requirements desired by our clients by being PCI validated. But none of them hit the target of that PCI validated P2PE solution. You see, we didn't want a solution that might do it right. But we wanted a solution that would stand up to the PCI P2PE standard for protecting card data that when in place, our clients, you, can't do it wrong. Many potential partners that we met with said that they had a PCI P2PE solution. But as I mentioned, once we got past the sales introduction and began the technical conversations with these potential partners for an actual PCI validated solution, things fell apart and we had to search again. You see, there are two parts of the club fitness management for credit card transactions. There are the in-club or wellness center face-to-face purchases for things such as water bottles, snacks, classes, etc. These types of transactions are easy to do with P2PE. This is the part that many had an answer for to meet the PCI requirements for P2PE. But it was our second need that was proving to be a great challenge: to capture credit card numbers and keep it on file for the monthly recurring dues or card on file purchases that PCI or P2PE was never designed to address. Again, PCI P2PE was conceived to be a card-present, real-time purchase solution. To qualify for the reduced P2PE scope, all transactions have to meet the standard, or you are subject to the fuller, lengthy assessment. Now, some of these potential partners were presenting possible solutions for this second, harder part. However, each time we ran into a major roadblock as their solution did not hit that target of meeting the reduced scope assessment of PCI P2PE that our clients wanted. So we approached WorldPay, and they agreed to work with us to design a solution that met this goal. And then the pandemic hit. But we felt so strongly in the need for this that it remained a top product development project throughout this difficult period. We released our solution in two phases. Phase one, in the fall of 2021, was the easier part that P2PE was designed to cover: card-present transactions. This fall, 2022, we released phase two, the one that we were told can't be done: the monthly recurring transactions. This meets the requirements for PCI P2PE and is what PCI assessors, your compliance and security teams, and your acquiring banks want to see. Part of my role as compliance officer is to be part of security reviews by potential clients that are considering Jonas's Compete platform. We recently had such a call with a compliance and security team from a major health system. The project lead there gave us the heads up that such calls with this team usually were very lengthy and sometimes uncomfortable, as they want to spend a lot of time assessing the proposed solution. The call was scheduled for 2 hours with the expectation that there would likely be follow-up calls. Once we shared that we had our PCI P2PE validated Compete solution that covered all card transactions, they were satisfied, and the call ended 10 minutes after it started. Right after, we received a very complimentary email from the client's project lead that the call was the shortest and easiest they had ever experienced between a vendor and their security team, and there were no follow-up items from the call. She shared it was a huge stress relief for her to get past what is usually one of the biggest hurdles in any project there. What we want to leave you with is this summation. Jonas Fitness's Compete PCI P2PE compatibility mode fully insulates and protects your environment from card data. It is set by our implementations team and cannot be disabled by anyone on your side. This is what we mean when we say, with Compete with PCI P2PE from Jonas Fitness, you can't do it wrong. Now we can move on if there's any questions. I will share that we have met with many hospitals and wellness centers, and they have really been the ones that have pushed for P2PE. They understand how de-scoping sensitive data from the environment is very, very important. And so they are the ones that have really pushed for this. And as mentioned before, universities are very interested in it as well. They have large, complex networks. They don't want to deal with the hassle of sensitive data if at all possible. So that's why we were very excited. This has been, I mean, I've been with this since 6 years ago. And to see it come to this point is absolutely amazing. And I really thought we were going to have it derailed when the pandemic hit. So having this come out last month was very exciting for me.
Hey, everyone. And I just thought I'd pop in to say, to let everybody know, we do record this. So if anybody's like, oh, I just wish I could hear that again, we will send the recording link out to everyone in case you're just like, oh, somebody else should hear this. So you will have that. And you're always welcome to reach out to Leah as well at Jonas with your questions. I know
And
sometimes
hopefully
people are.
some of the people on the webinar are coming to the MFA conference next week, and you can ask me directly.
Yes. And you will find on that note, you will find Jonas in the MFA pavilion in the expo at the conference. So they do have a booth there. And I hope everyone on the call is registered to come to the conference. We have a great conference planned for you. There is still time to register, in case anybody loves to do things at the last minute. I don't know, Geiger, I think you really answered a lot of questions.
Well, if more come up, we're more than happy to answer them.
I think your presentation was that complete.
Great.
Very thorough.
Yes.
I hope everybody appreciates it and is leaving with an understanding of PCI validated P2PE.
It's complicated. I mean, as our financial world gets more and more complicated and scarier with hacks and scams and, you know, all the horrible stuff that can happen now.
Agreed.
One less headache to worry about.
Yes. Anytime we can get rid of some of those headaches is better.
Last call for any questions. I don't see any in the Q&A section. So going once, going twice.
So anybody out there typing?
Okay, if there's no questions, I think that's all we have for everyone today. Marianne, I appreciate you letting us take the time to share this information. Geiger, as always, nice job. You're very thorough in your explanations, so I appreciate it.
Great, and thank you. And as always, thank you to Jonas Fitness for supporting MFA as an industry partner.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Have a nice afternoon, everyone.
You too.